Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 14, just after 7 a.m. And today I'm going to take you through a typical day in the life of a scientist, filled with experiments, reading, writing, a couple of Zoom meetings because we're in a pandemic. It'll be a lot of fun. First thing first, quick workout. So usually I try to be as consistent as possible with my morning routines, but depending on how I slept, depending on when my next experiment starts in the morning, it varies. So today we have an experiment around noon, so we gotta prep a couple hours before. So we'll have a quick workout, quick breakfast, and then we'll get going. All right, let's start. All right, let's eat something. Today, it'll probably be just oatmeal and some fruits. I'll put this right here so you guys can see my quick breakfast. So what I usually do in the mornings is a couple of things. Obviously breakfast, but also I start the day with basically making an agenda what I'm gonna do for the whole day. And also I watch some YouTube, read some papers before I actually get out the door to the hospital. So first thing I'm gonna do, just gotta make an agenda for the day. Yeah. Just wave. There we go. So I have to do a bit of editing of a manuscript we're going to submit tonight before we actually do some experiments. So let's get going. So I want to show you guys a typical day in the life of a scientist, but at these times, it's anything but typical, really. So as you can see, I have a mask on, and behind me, there's a lot of mobile field hospitals for the potential third wave. But I want to show you some beauty that is Sunnybrook Hospital. So out of courtesy for some of the patients that are in this hospital, I'm not gonna film this part. I'm just gonna take you guys upstairs into our lab to get started for the day. All right, so this is actually my professor, one of them, Michelle Anderson. And here's the boss. Dr. Zúñiga-Pflücker. We're gonna come here today because we're doing a little experiment inside here. This is my area that I work, and we'll spend most of the day here today, I think. And this is where we work here, actually. Helen! Morning!
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just writing up emails.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I'm just giving everyone a tour of an actual lab
Yeah.
before we start experiments.
This is where we sit. With our postdoc. We have the beautiful sunlight.
Oh, it's nice. They give us the best seats in the house, actually. This is where I sit. It's relatively clean. It's not at all, but because social distancing rules, I actually don't sit here anymore. I sit in the back room, and I'll take you guys there. All right. So we're gonna go in the back room for a little bit and edit the manuscript, and then we're gonna do an experiment. All right. I'll show you my office. Usually that's my office in there, but because social distancing and to kind of prevent 20 people in at one time, I usually go in the back room where we usually have our large lab meetings. But during the day, it's kind of vacant, so it's my office right now. And here we are. Is anyone in here? Nope. Okay, let me take a moment to explain what it is we actually do in the lab, particularly what I'm doing for my project. So I work in a lab that studies human T-cell development. What that means is we try to understand how a blood stem cell that can become any blood cell in your body, how that naturally becomes a T-cell. And then for my particular project, what I do is develop technology to mimic that whole process in a dish. So that allows us to take blood stem cells from the umbilical cord. We can mix that with different technologies, allow us to make T-cells from them. And we can use those T-cells for different applications. We can engineer those cells to target cancer, or we can use those T-cells as is to replenish the immune system. To give some context, if you are a cancer patient that gets chemotherapy and radiation, you eliminate all your fast dividing cells, which includes your immune system, right? So what happens in these patients is that they're very immunodeficient for a very long time. So what we want to do is take the blood stem cells, mix them with our technology to develop T lineage cells. We can then isolate those T cells and give it back to the patient so they now have a proper immune system so they can go into the real world and fight infections and fight cancer. So today what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to isolate blood stem cells from the umbilical cord blood and then mix that with the technology we have in our lab to initiate the first steps of T cell development. Okay, so first thing first, let's get those stem cells. I'll grab some lunch, about half an hour to kill. So we're gonna go to the main cafeteria right here in Sunnybrook. There's another one over there, but this one's like sufficient for us. I think the other one's closed now, right?
We have Swiss Chalet.
We have Swiss Chalet. All right, we'll pause for a moment and then get in line.
Should we name this anything?
Yeah, CD34.
All right, so well, when you put the video online, make sure there's a disclaimer that it was during COVID.
Yes.
Why my hair looks. I'll just comment in the comments section. So this is human cord blood, right?
Okay, it's the end of the experiment. I'm gonna put this in the TC incubator and let it co-culture for about a week. We'll isolate these cells and put it into mouse. All right. It's about 5:45 now. We're almost done experiments. Still gotta clean up some stuff. But for the next couple hours, we're gonna read and write, edit the manuscript so we can have our meeting with JC this evening to go over some of the reviewer comments for our manuscript, and before we finally press that submit button and end that chapter of my thesis, of my project. So until then, let's eat some dinner. What do we have today? We have Korean food. I've ordered twice today. Usually I make food the night before and bring it in. But I didn't have any time yesterday. Kind of bought 2 meals. A little guilty for that, but that happens in grad school. But right now I'm gonna have my favorite kind of meal, Korean food, specifically kimchi jjigae. So a kimchi based stew.
To approve the submission finally. That's it? You sure?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Done. A live manuscript.
There you go.
High five. There you go. There you go. All good.
Evening, guys. We're home now. Thanks for following me on a typical day in the life of a scientist. What did we cover today? We did some experiments, we had some Zoom meetings, and we submitted a paper. Not a bad day. So now that I'm home, I'm gonna maybe wind down, maybe watch Netflix, relax, and get ready for the day tomorrow. Thanks. Night.